Today I had my class with Journey with Mia as usual, 3 times a month, and I love them sessions because it's not all about demonstrating mediumship or see a psychic or whatever. So today I actually let them sit in groups and talk about what life changes has happened to them, who maybe wasn't as positive as it was when you went through it, but what was the outcome and how can you reflect on that and see the positive that came out from that horrendous situation maybe. You know, I have a lot of people who say, well, Spirit made sure I broke my arm because I was working too much, or they made sure I slipped and broke my arm or my leg, so I shouldn't work so hard as I do. Well, agree to disagree, like I always say, but I believe that Spirit wouldn't do that to you. I believe that if you're so tired yourself, maybe you wasn't paying attention, or sometimes shit just happens. It's an accident, you know. But I don't believe that the Spirit is actually interfering and make you break a leg or an arm for you to learn something. Because for me, that's just pain. And yes, we can learn from pain. What can we learn? Tolerance, maybe. I don't know. And we have to learn to live with it, maybe. But I personally don't believe that the spirit world is making you break legs or whatever, or make you get a disease, so you should slow down. If you are really tired, your immune system is not at its highest. How many of you has worked really, really hard for a long time? You finally go on a vacation and you go sick. Because it's so common, when you're finally relaxing, you're letting go of all the worries, all the stress and everything. It's like, now it can hit me. So I think we underestimate, our own personal responsibility. And I think that's why I like spiritualism, because of the fifth principle. I think I mentioned this before, but personal responsibility. Why do you think that you can go to a medium and they will tell you the numbers for the Lotto, Why would I do that? Or why would I tell you which husband you should live with? Or what house you should move to? I mean, that's your life. It's your passion about where you want to be. I do get angry though when medium says, oh, I don't want to live in this house. This is a scary and a bad place. No, there's no scary houses. Only the people in it can be scary. Or there's an energy loop from an old person who lived there before maybe. And you're picking up with your psychic senses that something wasn't good at the time when they were living there. That doesn't mean it is like that now. And you don't need to do sage in all the corner, If you want sage, it's a tool. For me, everything is a tool to focus your mind. Because for me, the mind is the boss. The mind is your boss. So you can either make it your best friend or your worst enemy. So what I want to say really is that you are in charge how you want to feel. You are in charge how things will feel around you. And a lot of mediums in the beginning, they can't close off energy, They're walking around like a seal and just give it to me, give it to me, give it to me. Oh, you're feeling bad, let me have that feeling, Oh, you're stressed, let me feel that feeling, Instead of focusing on yourself. And yes, you can use a lot of rituals, because it disciplines the mind. But that's all what it's doing, because that is the boss. You can change the energy in the room, but just dancing and singing and being happy in the room. And I believe personally that is more powerful than walking around with sage in every corner. And if you look at sage, you go back maybe to the North American Indians and all sorts of things and the rituals they had back in the day. And yes, we didn't have that much knowledge about the mind back in the day. And we was a lot, and we still are filtered by the religion about the bad and the evil. Black is evil, white is good. And how many nuns who walk around in black clothes, are they all evil? And if you look at what happens in the world and you look at the priests and everything that's going on in some of the churches in the world and all the abuse, They're walking around in the white robes and they're so holy. You can't hide with your clothing and be a bad person and go in and ask for forgiveness, And that's why I love spiritualism so much, because solely you are responsible for what you're doing. And if you're doing something wrong, you have to take the consequences. No one else have to do that. And, I hate when people blame others for what happened to themselves. Yes, shit happens, absolutely. But you have a choice to stay in that shit, or you have a choice to change your mind about it and move away from it and walk forward. And I think today, when the world is like it is, have you seen the monks that walking for peace? Isn't it beautiful? And I can't be a monk because I would be bored out of my skull, Well, they don't accept female monks, but there you go. But anyway, solitude. Yeah, I love it for a little while, but then I get restless. And I think, yes, I can train, I can practice some of it. I did, and I was dedicated to sit in the power every day the first 10 years. I was developing. I sat an hour every day, more or less every day for 10 years. And if you take holidays away from that, maybe 10 years, I skipped a month, So I was very dedicated. But it was not to become a good medium. Well, maybe I thought that in the beginning, that was what it took. But it actually taught me about myself. And the more I know about myself, the more I know how I'm functioning, how my mind is working, where my weaknesses is, where my strength is, then I also know who I am. And then I also know my own mediumship. I know when my mind comes into it. I know when my insecurity comes into it. I know when I feel uncomfortable because my client maybe wants something from me. Because a lot of clients believe that I'm a fortune teller. And if you go to a fortune teller, good luck, because no one can see your future. They can have glimpses of what's coming, but regardless what's coming in your way, what's in motion, it's up to you if you take the chance. It's up to you what you deal with your meetings, with the situations that happen in your life. It comes down to you in the end anyway. And what kind of person do you want to be? You want maybe to be a kind and loving and sharing person, and that's beautiful. But don't forget to give that to yourself as well. And a lot of mediums, when they do their personal development, sometimes during the road, so to speak, during the way, sometimes they feel, oh my God, am I getting cold? I don't feel anymore. I'm not crying when I'm working anymore. No, good for you, because you finally learn to distance yourself from all the emotions that hitting you when you're working. I used to say I'm like an ice cone, or, when I'm working, it's the only time I'm not a weeping woman, so to speak, because I can look at anything on television and I cry. I get emotional for everything, But when I'm working, it's like I'm an ice cold lady. I'm not, because I wouldn't pick up the feelings and emotion in that case, but I don't get into it. I have learned to put myself at a distance to what I'm working, because if I are crying with the recipient, I'm losing my link to the spirit. I'm losing my connection to the psychic energy, and I'm not objective. I just become, someone who is in their own emotions and sharing them, instead of looking from outside objectively what is going on. So I have learned a lot over all these years, and I believe I have just as much to learn. And maybe what I'm experiencing now and think is right, 5 years down the road, I might think, oh my God, what did you think, Mia? Because if I look back at my life and this 30 plus year I've been in this business, I have changed quite a lot about my thinking, about the spirit world, about energies, about people. I've looked into the animal instinct within us, how the reactions are, and how we deal with all our traumas and everything. And it's so much to learn. And I find that really, really beautiful. So that's what's on my mind today. So have a good week. Bye.